I'm Simon Ditchburn. I'm the Managing Director of the Tudor Group of Companies, and in 37 degrees of heat you're watching the construction of the Cube condominium, and for the next 12 hours we're going to be pouring concrete in this basement. Since we've seen you last on the last group of videos, we've been working very much on the basement steel, the reinforcing steel, and it's at this point where I've had to make a plan change, and it's basically because of the heavy rains that we've had in the last couple of weeks. You see, it's automatic for me to have a thinking of European construction, and we don't have to deal with flash floods and those heavy rains that you have to deal with here in Pattaya, and last week is a really good example. Now, we don't have the massive flash floods up here on the hill. It's a lot lighter here on the hill. Of course, down in the valley there, the streets completely flood out. But nevertheless, we still have to cater for the rain, those heavy downpours of rain. And it's a complete possibility that you see the surface water on the top, but what people don't seem to realise is that water is flowing underground just as much as it is on the surface. And it's completely possible for that underground water to wash away some of the earth below this slab and create a crater directly underneath, an air pocket underneath this basement slab. And the last thing that I want to happen is something like this. Okay, now explain that one to the insurance company now. Anyway, a little bit of backwards and forwards between me and the engineer, our design engineer, and we've basically come up with the solution to increase the steel from 12mm up to 16mm, and we've actually now doubled the steel. There are 2 layers of steel here. Now, this is going to give you absolute maximum security within this basement slab, not only supporting people walking up and down, cars driving on the top of it. Should you have the worst scenario when you get an air pocket underneath this slab created by the rains, this slab will never collapse. It's well worth doing that extra. Now, it's delayed me in time, it's cost an extra couple of million baht to do it, but I think everybody will agree with me this was the right thing to do. This was definitely the solution to the problem. Now, there is a slight disadvantage to it. We couldn't get this steel work in slabs. It would normally come as a slab already laid out in a grid work form, but it was impossible. The suppliers couldn't get that to us. So these last couple of weeks, we've had to lay down every single length of steel individually and wire it together individually. So again, it's put me back on time, but it was the right decision to make. The area behind me here will be the juristic offices, it's the staircase and it's the lobby, the entranceway in. Now, it's all on the basement level, and you'll notice that it's a step higher than the actual car park level. To save time today, we've put in a 4-inch beam, and we'll pour the concrete up to the level of the 4-inch beam first, and then secondly the lower level of the car park. So it allows me to actually do the step but in one pour of concrete at one time. Okay, it's a little bit loud here because I'm standing right next to the concrete truck and the pump machine, but basically we're expecting about 30 trucks of concrete to arrive here today over a 12-hour period, and that's going to be continuous pouring right the way through. I've set everything up as easy as I can today so we can deliver the concrete exactly where we need it. So nice and simple, the concrete goes into the pump, it follows all the way through that pipe, and we can actually deliver the pipe and the concrete right in the position where we need it. Now, when you're doing 12 hours of concreting, you need to make it as easy as you possibly can. Now right at the front line here you can see all the concrete being pumped in, but you can also see what I was talking about earlier about the step. How the higher area is stopped by the beam, and then you pour into the lower area to level all of that step at one time. We're well into the evening shift now. As you can see, all the spotlights have actually gone on there behind me. They've been working at this now for 10 hours and I'm incredibly proud of them today. Just 16 men have done this concrete slab today. 10 hours so far, estimate about 2 hours to go, and real hats off to them because they've done this today in 40 degrees. 40 degrees, I mean pouring concrete on a normal day is hard enough, but in 40 degrees, absolute hats off to them. Well, as I said, about 2 hours more to go, and there's one item left that we've got to do, which is spray water on the top of the concrete. Doing this in 40 degrees of heat, we're worried that the concrete will dry too quickly and it can actually crack the surface of the concrete. So we're going to spray everything with water trucks afterwards and try and slow down that drying process. Right up to the 12-hour barrier now, which is pretty much on time to try and finish this concrete off. And as you can see, as a last item, we're spraying the entire surface down with water. It's been 40 degrees today with this concrete pour, and what people are worried about is the concrete will dry too quickly. If it dries too quickly, there's a danger that it might actually crack. So by spraying everything with water as a last item, it will slow down that drying process just enough that it won't open up and it won't crack. It's Sunday tomorrow. We're incredibly tired, all of us. So it's going to be a day off. I'm going to buy them all a good drink, and well deserved as well tomorrow. The next item on the list is the columns. We'll start forming in the columns and concreting everything there. So we'll see you next time.